And I'm trying to make space for myself, but also for everybody else, but also into the world. And it can be fun and joyous and silly and goofy and deep and painful and sad at the same time.
My name is Opoku-Addaie, Artistic Director and Chief Executive at Dance Umbrella.
Yeah, applause, applause!
And we have here Sonya Lindfors, choreographer, who's presented the work you just see now, One Drop. I have a lot of questions to ask, but I'm only going to ask one of them, and I'm going to give you guys, this is basically to give you time to just reflect on things that you want to share with Sonya, or reflected on during the piece as well. So there isn't going to be a long conversation myself and Sonya, but knowing the work and knowing the journey you've been on, it's just one thing that comes to mind. I just want to ask, what inspired before it became One Drop? How did the drop happen?
What? Wow. Should I start? When I was 4, I started my dance journey. I don't know. Well, so we have been doing 10 years work that centralizes blackness and black bodies, power, representation, speculative stages. So actually this journey started already in 2017. So in 2016 we did a piece called Noble Savage that dealt with kind of like the white savior narrative. And then we wanted to go deeper into these topics of the relationalities of capitalism and coloniality, and then the contemporary stage. Again, I think now it's like oftentimes these big productions take such a long time to like grow, but now actually like these topics seem so urgent. Coming back to also Black Lives Matter, all the conversations that we've had around decolonizing institutions, what does it actually mean? How did resources come to, and we're here in the UK, you're like the, this is the colonizer #1. So these conversations right here are so urgent and topical. So then I oftentimes make work from a need to go deeper and study and learn together, because it, like, in such a busy world, I think making a production is one of the very rare places where we can come together with a cast of black performers, read together, interrogate together, dance together, jam together, play together, have fun, but then also go back to theory. So it has been a really kind of like long journey. As you see, like we have performers, beautiful performers for such different backgrounds. We have movers, we have actors, we have musicians. So it has been kind of like a pot boiling for a really long time. I don't know if that answered the question at all.
That totally answered.
Did that answer the question at all?
Yes, it did. Second part of the question, because myself and Pillin, BAC, we saw the work in April. What was the first thought once you saw the work and how it would travel across different spaces, communities that are not necessarily in the same space in the conversation you're having?
Yeah, I think this is really interesting, and then coming back again to relationalities. Like, I think there's a fantasy in the contemporary world that, hey, we can just tour the work and it means or resonates in the same way anywhere. Like, hey, let me just do this work and boop, 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 and bring it somewhere, and then it will resonate the same way. But as we're dealing with very kind of like deep and difficult and complex, complicated topics, blackness, coloniality, of course, it resonates in a totally different way in Finland. Again, like contextualization is key. Finland is very, 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 very white. Very small, very white. So then kind of like my experience as a black first girl, then an adult growing up in the 80s in Finland has informed kind of like my experience of blackness a lot. So then I think while trying to, first of all, work with an international cast, I think we have had a lot of like delicacy and sensitivities around kind of like these topics. And like we had a lot of conversations also like how, like trying to navigate or understand like how does the work resonate here? What things kind of like come up into the surface a little bit more, and what maybe stay in the depth in a different way. But again, I'm also really interested and eager to hear or understand like how did the audience experience it? Like how did it resonate here?
And that is a perfect lead. We have Ella's got a roving mic here.
There's so much to talk about this work.
I mean, I've got lots of questions to ask as well. Yes. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. I've got a question. I think you've alluded to it about how you work with your artists to interrogate this work. Are you the person that had the ultimate idea, or did you work with your team to bring out the whole concept as a choreographer? So how much did they imbibe it and bring to it?
I think that's a really good question. I think oftentimes I come up with the initial concept and the idea, but then all the material is kind of like, it's like a band. So then we jam together. So then I might have an idea for a scene, then we might talk about it a little bit, then we do kind of like tasks or improvisation together, or we write together. So then it's really kind of like an ensemble work in the beginning, and of course when we start to stage, it becomes a little bit more hierarchical. So then the designers need to do their work and so on. But in the beginning, everybody, like the Timo and Erno, who are upstage, and then Aino who is here around, everybody was like taking part in exercises. So it really feels like jamming together. And I think that again is an important part of the work, because then like the performers look like themselves. And I love it. I think that's one of the most important things about this work, that it really shows the multiplicity of blackness. Trying to claim, or not trying to claim, but claiming everything black. Contemporary dance, this is black. Street dance is black. That's like, everything can be black movement. Everything can be kind of like how to build a speculative stage that tries to invite the audience in a journey that is kind of like expanding our notion of like what is blackness, but also all the time tying things and relationalities together, how everything is like, how are we here in this space? How and why, and what is considered good or interesting or beautiful? Why is classical music classical music? Why is European music classical music? Why aren't thousands of years old West African rhythms classical music? So kind of like everything is happening at the same time, and then I think the work is all the time playing with all these different layers, like going to very kind of like tiny concrete things, and then again expanding in time and space into the past and the future and sideways as well. We're joking at one time that it's kind of like reversed Ghostbusters. So then trying to like summon like different relations that have been lost or broken by coloniality, and then rebuilding them again, if it makes sense. Yeah.
Any other questions, thoughts?
Thank you. It's not a question, it's just saying thank you for occupying space. What I felt was that normally it's the privilege that feel the entitlement to occupy space, especially certain spaces. So it was quite, exciting to see how the different uses of the space, but with that entitlement. So thank you, just that.
Oh, thank you. Hey, I'm up for comments, anything that resonates, or questions. It doesn't have to be smart or elaborated. I know, like, after like a 2-hour show, sometimes you're like,
It seems like when this platform arises and work like yours is seen, these seams start to open across an idea of linear time. But for all of us, almost like is revealed an inherent trans-temporality, kind of, and those seams, I don't know, I'm just waxing lyrical, these seams of gold through this edifice of linear time that we all kind of can be stuck within. And this piece for me this evening has been one of those seams of gold that's kind of, connecting up in a rhizomatic way, like this fungal knowing of and beyond that limiting linear temporality that we have going on in our brains, maybe waking up some of those latent parts of our brains, no matter who we are. So thank you.
thank you so much. Thank you. We've been really talking about this notion of time, and then how the work really tries to play with this, like, okay, now we start with social body, social dance, then suddenly like it becomes like it invites this abstractness, like, or asking like, what is a black abstract body? Like, how does that move? Or what is black contemporaneity? How does that play? How is it still attached to rhythmical patterns? And all the time kind of like, we've been talking about slippages and leakages and how something starts to like change and this inner metamorphosis, but also like the time that just, sometimes we're in the past, sometimes we're in the future, and then, yeah, so kind of like this trans-temporal seems somehow a great word for what we have been trying. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you, yes. Also, we have been reading Ashim Bembe's The Critique of Black Reason, a great book that really kind of like talks about the relations of how the black body was the original ore for capitalism, and and then, for example, this scene where Miranda comes with the golden dress, so then how the black body is the goal, but also dancing with the ghosts of black performance, black concert dancing, and that kind of, all of that, but then also having Timberland, so then like channeling that like my ghost in hip-hop dance, so then like all the times these kind of like personal and political and historical and micro and macro levels of kind of like goals and relationalities are somehow like invited. And again, it doesn't mean that, oh, the audience has to understand everything. Like, for example, my friend's 12-year-old kid was in Helsinki seeing the performance, and they were like, I just love the music, or I want to dance with you. And so then what I also like really love about how generous the performers are, like there's several contact surfaces in the work that you can understand it in so many ways, and you don't have to know all the histories or theory or everything that's underneath, but there's something maybe that you can still grasp. It might be like, oh, the beautiful light or the smoke or that sound or that costume, or wow, the way this performer moves, or wow, how they held each other, that can touch you. So maybe that's kind of like also like the transness, or yeah, that we have been looking for somehow.
Hi, I just wanted to ask, you mentioned the micro and the macro, and I wanted to ask how on a micro level, on your, as the choreographer, how did being able to put this show and being able to bring together the dancers and perform in different cities, what kind of, like, I'm assuming it's like a sort of victory for you to be able to put on this show, like, how does, if it is perceived like that on your behalf, how did it make you feel to be able to put on this show, like, on an individual level, as, like, being influenced so much by your experiences as a black person in Finland? Like, what sort of feelings do you have, I guess?
I think, again, that's a really interesting question, because I have no other experiences in the world than being a black person. So every time I make work, I every time have to negotiate with that kind of like friction and history. And I think this is like the really tricky conversation that we are having right now in the Finnish contemporary art field, but probably everywhere else. Like, what does it mean to, for example, bring to Dance Umbrella work? It might be a work that is dealing with somebody's like trauma, like pain, fear, and then bringing another work that might be more about weight shifting or rhythm or something else. But then we still use the same word, contemporary dance. For example, I was in a festival where there was a work where indigenous Finnish Sami people were dancing about like they're like trying to get their land back. And then in the other night there was like a beautiful work, but which was really about kind of like just kind of like movement patterns. So then what does it do to put those things next to each other? And I think this is like a really like tricky time. Like, how do we navigate all these intricacies? So individually, I of course feel that I started to dance because it was also survival for me. And I think for many people belonging to marginalized or underrepresented groups, like making art and creating is a kind of like trying to find tiny spaces or nooks where you can feel free, or you can feel the liberation or joy or coming together or community for a tiny moment. So then, of course, every time I am able to facilitate for, you know, a cast of 6 black performers this space where we can, like, that you see the kind of like support and love and joy on stage, like they're having fun, they're smiling. All of that is also something that I really want to just have representations and repetitions of. And I think that's also the power of the stage, that we get to repeat and repeat and repeat and live that again and again and again. You come to the stage again and you're like, okay, wow, I belong. Wow, my body can be like this and this and this. I'm this and this and this and this. I'm all of this. And I'm trying to make space for myself, but also for everybody else, but also into the world. And it can be fun and joyous and silly and goofy and deep and painful and sad at the same time. Everything at the same time. So it's hard to like word it out, like what is kind of like the experience, but I truly still believe in the power of art. I feel words make worlds, stages make worlds. We need new stories, new kind of like ways of understanding who are we, that we are changing. But also, I think the most painful and dangerous story of modernity is individualism, that you don't need anybody else. And that has led to the climate crisis, like we don't need anybody else, we don't need the land, we don't need this, you can just like carry on without anything. So I think decolonial work is about rebuilding connection to yourself, to others, to land, to the materials that you're using, to the dances that you're dancing, to the songs that you're singing. So it's a deep and spiritual journey, I think. But what I really love about it, that it can be kind of like light and deep at the same time, somehow.
Great, thank you. The question at top, I think last one.
I was really interested in how you used opera as a genre, especially since it's considered like incredibly white and incredibly exclusive. How did the idea of using opera come? Why did you choose those specific pieces, and do they have a specific meaning, either in the context of a show or more broadly?
Again, I think this is a question like, Rika is here, so in the previous work, Camouflage, we're talking about this, like, what is considered white and what is considered not white? And all of these are cultural constructs, like how do you recognize things? Like, and then understanding that blackness and whiteness are both like cultural constructs. So for example, postmodern dance was born in New York in the 60s. Like there was jazz, there was funk, there was civil rights movement, there's like Asian movement traditions in that. How is it white now? So then I'm always interested in this, like how to renegotiate things. And also like, I work with, I try to put on stage things that I haven't seen. So I was like, hey, I want to see a black opera singer. Now it's black, maybe this is black art now, let's claim that black. And then of course, like when we're dealing with this, this kind of like notion of beauty, so classical music is kind of like somehow considered as the epitome of beauty. So then also this juxtaposition, for example, of all those like reggae beats, and then coming back to this question, for example, like what is classical in this work and what is not classical, and why? And all those specific works, yes, they were very carefully selected, like they're all dealing with exotism, and they all come from this era of high imperialism time, so the end of the 1800s, what Isabella is also saying. So we did a lot of research with Isabella, and she proposed like several different pieces that could then be part of this operetta part, where the black theater group tries to make a play about relationalities. So they're kind of like playing vampires. Yeah, anyway, it's complicated, but yeah. There's one more eager question.
Thank you so much, I appreciate that. Hi, I just wanted to know, what was the first seed, like what was the first move that you did to make this happen? Like, if you wrote it in your journal, if you know, what was the first thing you did? If you contacted somebody, yeah.
I think this is so tricky because everything is accumulating. Yeah. So like I don't know what is the first seed, because I think all of the ghosts of previous works are also here. All of the histories of our bodies that we have danced are also here. But then probably concretely it's like dreaming of a work, like hey, a dream that hey, I want to learn more about these different relationalities and I need a very diverse team. to dream with. So I need people around me. I never work alone. Like, I don't believe you can work, like, or I do believe, but I don't feel I can work in a decolonial way by myself. I think it's so much about community and connection. So then I think maybe the first move was to like just have people around me. Yeah.
Great, thank you. Firstly, I just want to say a big shout out to Kat and all the production team at BAC, Ella. Thank you, you guys have been brilliant. Thank you for holding us. Thank you.